Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Millennial Smart, and I'm bringing you the slop, the whole slop, and nothing but the slop. Why is Dave Meltzer like this? Knowing your history and knowing the position that you're in, why are you opening your mouth in this situation? Oh, that's right, because it involves New Japan Pro Wrestler, Japanese wrestler. I get it. I understand, but the lacking of self-awareness, right? The lacking of self-awareness. So let me catch you guys up to speed real quick, just in case you don't know of the situation. Gail Kim is involved in quote unquote controversy because she went out of her way to criticize Riho. Just to catch you guys up, it all started off with Gail Kim criticizing some deathmatch, right? Of which Brett Lauderdale went out of his way and he criticized Gail Kim because apparently she was having a similar take to the likes of Jim Cornette, Dutch Mantel, all these other folks, right? But more in particular, we're fixating on Jim Cornette because the dickhead that's in my comment section, Angsty Apple Dummy, he typically, is a AEW stan and he cheerleads them all the way. Neither here nor there. He ended up trying to manipulate Gail Kim by essentially putting her on the spot and bringing in race into this whole situation as if it has anything to do with her opinion on crappy death matches or her opinions on Jim Cornette. He tried to put her on the spot by essentially saying, hey, Gail, how do you feel about Jim Cornette criticizing Asian wrestlers, right? Of which Gail Kim asked for a quote. Somebody went out of the way to give her a quote in regards to what Jim Cornette said, more in particular, a playlist and a video, of which then, now we're caught up. Look at your screen. This is what Gail Kim said. I have to read these so you can keep in context so we can have an understanding what Dave Meltzer is lacking in regards to self-awareness. Gail Kim said, I listened to this whole clip, which I said I didn't want clips, but that's fine. The only issue that I had was that he made a comment about her teeth. I will say, and I haven't watched AEW in a very long time, but when I did watch Riho, and nothing against her at all, because I am the biggest supporter of all women who want to make it in this business, but I did feel uncomfortable watching her because the camera shots would go up her skirt and she was always dressed like a very little girl and it felt improper. I am also into very believable wrestling. Not everyone is, especially nowadays. And it was very hard for me to believe a little girl that was being portrayed of that size was fighting the women they had in that division. To put it into context, I find Io, Mia, Asuka, Kairi, and Lei Ying to be more believable, and I don't feel uncomfortable watching. Now, you heard what I said there, right? You see the quotes on the screen. You see the tweets on the screen. Did Gail Kim say anything controversial, right? What people are more so fixated on is the fact that Gail Kim is talking about the questionable dynamics in regards to Riho and her opponents because Riho is small. That's observable. You can see Riho. She is small, right? And because Gail Kim talked about the camera going up her skirt. That's what Gail Kim was concerned about. That's what Gail Kim was fixated on. Nothing she said was messed up. You can have your opinions in regards to the dynamics as far as size is considered, considering Gail Kim was in that same similar spot. But as I said yesterday, it's based off of context. Obviously, Gail Kim can have her opinions, regardless, right? But it's the camera shot stuff that people are really harping on because they really can't go after her in regards to her opinion while trying to have a definitive argument, right? Which now brings Kenny Omega into the equation. Right? So Kenny Omega went out of his way, again, tweets are on the screen if you want to see it, to say this. Another day and another legend doing the splits on it for the yearly TKO gift basket. Essentially calling out Gail Kim for, I guess, being a WWE shill, which is crazy because if there was anybody who was completely anti-WWE, it would be Gail Kim. She's been this way for like 15 years, very outspoken against WWE, but because she went out of her way to talk about the AEW women in a negative light, quote-unquote negative light, apparently that now makes her a WWE shill, right? And apparently that now makes her a bully. So now we're caught up. You have the context. Let's get to what Dave Meltzer said because, again, this guy has no room to talk, yet he's running his stupid fucking mouth, right? So this fan went out of his way to say, judging by what she's posted since her initial comments, I think Gail fully understands what she said, right? This is what Dave Meltzer said. Let me know where she acknowledges the horrible bullying that Riho received and either says she doesn't care or apologizes for bringing it back. What does Gail Kim have to do with the horrible bullying of Riho? Just to say again, the context of what Gail Kim was saying. She doesn't find her believable in the ring, which is her opinion because of Riho's observable size. And also, she doesn't like the fact that people or the camera guys shoot up her skirt. If anything, she's taken up for Riho and she's given her opinion about Riho, but nothing of what she said was even remotely equatable to bullying. Dave Meltzer went out of his way to call her a bully. But it gets deeper, right? Because this fan went out of his way to say, appreciate your comments about Gail Kim's post. I had the same thoughts, and people in the industry should be more cautious with how their words could further add fuel to the fire that hurts other women in the industry. Once again, what Gail Kim said, she doesn't like the fact that the cameramen shoot up her skirt. Because that's the only thing that you can equate to when saying that you're adding further fire or further fuel to the fire that hurts other women in the industry. I think focusing on the fact that there are guys or cameramen shooting up her skirt is legitimately the antithesis of what you're saying right now. She is actually furthering the women's of the industry by suggesting stop looking up her skirt. And if you're saying anything again about the dynamics as far as size is considered, that's just an overall opinion. You could say the same thing about the man also. But like I said, this is what they're fixated on in regards to the bullying allegations that Gail Kim is bestowing upon fucking Riho. So then Dave Meltzer chimes in on that tweet. He says, thanks. I think she didn't understand the situation and still doesn't. And doesn't understand how she fueled a very horrible situation from the past. I'm not going to go over again what Gail Kim said, because you have the context of what Gail Kim said. I've repeated myself 3 or 4 times already. Dave Meltzer heard criticism about some of the wrestlers that he likes because he has the same wavelength as far as the elites, as far as Kenny Omega is considered, and he's offended on behalf of someone criticizing Riho because of her size. That's what he's more so fixated on. There's no way he's going to be so much of a creep to suggest that Gail Kim is wrong for suggesting that shooting up her skirt is a bad thing, right? Of course, he's not that much of a creep. We'll get to that in a minute, though. But that's what Dave Meltzer said. He is trying to essentially go out of his way to create a hate mob to go after Gail Kim, because he has to know he's not dumb, right? He has to know him tweeting something like that out with his followers, predominantly being the AEW stance and the Japanese marks. He has to know that he's going to go out of his way to boost her, to signal boost what he's saying for these people to go after Gail Kim when she herself is being harassed, Dave. She's not harassing Riho. You, on the other hand, signal boosting these comments, are actually harassing Gail Kim. Again, the lack of self-awareness. You are the bully. You are the bully. Kenny Omega is the bully. You guys are the bullies who are directly sending a hate mob to Gail Kim because she dared to give an opinion about AEW that did not happen to be positive. But it gets better because Gail Kim actually ended up clapping back at what Dave Meltzer said. She said, because again, Dave Meltzer with the let me know where she acknowledges the horrible bullying that Riho received and either says she doesn't care or apologizes, bringing it back, right? Gail Kim said, I actually found out today and listened to a reasonable person about it, asshole. Keep on making your biased assumptions and your star ratings that mean F all. Right. To say that Gail Kim doesn't have a right to clap back at a person who's creating a hate mob to go after her because of her opinions about professional wrestling is fucking insane. But she furthers on, right? She says, Meltzer's idiocy is bringing out my hood side, which very rarely happens. I get feisty, but I don't like to curse directly at people and call them names. If it gets to that point, you know you deserve it. Super cringe tweet, but putting that to the side, she's right. She's right. How do you sit here with a straight face and actually say that a person is in the wrong for giving their opinions on a fucking wrestling product, Mel? So you're so in the fucking pockets of Tony Khan, it's not even funny anymore, bro. You can't even go out of your way to hide your bias. You can't. And you know what you're doing. You yourself is a recipient of the same kind of bullying that gets signal boost when people come after you. And you think we don't know that you don't know what you're doing? You despicable piece of shit. You horrible piece of shit. But then it gets better because Dave Meltzer has the audacity to actually clap back at this, right? Dave Meltzer actually has the fucking audacity to clap back at Gail Kim. Why would he clap back at Gail Kim? By saying this stupid ass shit? I don't know. But this is what he said. Now that you know the backstory on why people were upset, can you at least understand? Mind you, he's quote tweeting her saying, I actually found out today and listened to a reasonable person about it, asshole. He quote tweeted the thing that he's blatantly fucking ignoring because he has to push his narrative. I defended you as much as possible on my show last night and explained that you probably didn't know the backstory. So you explain that she doesn't know the backstory. Your proposition is assuming she doesn't know the backstory, and yet you still go out of your way to pretend as if she is aware of it by telling her to back out, right? By telling her to back away from the story, right? You should probably go out of your way to understand that she was bullied. But you said, hang on, reading that one more time. I defended you as much as possible on my show last night and explained that you probably didn't know the backstory. You're contradicting yourself, homie. You're contradicting. So, did you know she didn't know the backstory? Or did you not know she didn't know the backstory? Because if you knew that she knew the backstory, then okay, your tweets are plausible. Still retarded, but plausible. But if you didn't know, then why are you going after her? Also, you're full of shit. You're full of shit. No, you didn't. You didn't defend her. You were being condescending as fuck with what you said. Do you guys want to hear what Meltzer said? This is what Meltzer said.
So what's going on with Gail Kim?
A24 is doing a movie on death matches. And she made a comment about, not liking death matches. Brett Lauderdale kind of confronted her. Somehow, Jim Cornette was involved. And she backed Jim Cornette, which led to people on the internet going to her and going like, you do realize what he says about Riho. She claimed that she had seen Riho once, and she thought that she was like, a schoolgirl, and they were shooting up her skirt, that she wears, and she found that very creepy. People took it as taking the sides of the people who bullied Riho off Twitter. The reason people are so defensive of Riho is because she was bullied by horrible people. And by doing this, like you are, you're kind of taking that side, even though she didn't say it in the same way, but she used the same buzzwords, the schoolgirl buzzword and things like that. And of course, Omega's going to be defensive of that because of everything that happened. He brought these women from Japan to the United States to work in AEW, and they took horrible abuse for nothing that they ever did. And of all people, she should understand that because she came from a wrestling business when it comes to women that was a lot worse than it is now. I think that she should probably just go and say that, like, I didn't realize what this woman had gone through. I just haven't followed along. And, she should say that she's sorry.
But he continues on. Now that you do, what is your opinion on the years of horrible bullying that the Japanese women wrestlers received? So now he's pulling the Inks the Apple dummy trick, right? Where he's trying to bring in race. He's trying to guilt trip Gail Kim to side with his narrative in order for her to feel guilty about her comments of criticizing Riho's size. You do know she's still going to feel the same way, right, Dave? Because of bullying in regards to Riho, which is horrible. Anybody who's bullying Riho for any reason, okay, piece of shit move, right? Nonetheless, piece of shit move, unless you're joking, which I think is base. Nevertheless, though, if they're seriously antagonizing her, stalking her, sending her messages directly to her comments or whatever, her profile, bullying her, what does that have to do with Gail Kim giving her position in regards to saying the fucking obvious that we can see with our eyes that she's small? How is that bullying? That's just being observant. But But I find it funny that Dave Meltzer wants to get on his little perch and pretend as if he's above everybody by suggesting that Gail Kim, now that she understands, now that she is holding herself accountable, she should now apologize for that kind of stuff? Huh, Dave? Is that what you're saying? Huh? Is Mr. Holier Than Thou Dave Meltzer saying that? Oh, okay, Dave. Well, let's see. By that standard, considering that Gail Kim is outright telling you that someone that she talked to let her know of the situation in regards to Riho, and then you're still antagonizing her to do your will, let's see. Dave, did you have that same energy when this happened?
The Iconics got boringed out. They're another one. I thought like that they had like a cool act in NXT, and on the main roster, I don't get a thing out of them. I mean, I don't think their promos are particularly good. Their wrestling isn't good. I think Peyton Royce's transformation to look more attractive. I don't know. I don't want to say, but I don't think that.
She was more attractive in NXT?
I thought so, yes. To me, yes. I would say so. But, that's neither here nor there, but...
No one's saying she's unattractive, by the way, everybody.
I know, no shit. Yeah, I didn't say it at all. But I don't think, she doesn't stand out to me. When she was in NXT, she did.
Well, one thing I've noticed about NXT in the main roster is...
She was a lot lighter.
The NXT characters...
She used to be a lot lighter? What do you mean by that, Dave? She used to be a lot lighter... Oh... Gosh darn it, you mean her titties. That's what you mean, right? You went through a whole controversy in regards to that. Remember that, Dave? I remember. Me remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers, Dave. So why are you going after her over this? Gail Kim, the same woman. Remember? You came from a time when women were looked at as sex candy, right? That's what you were alluding to. That's essentially what you were saying, Dave. And you play into that same... logic? I don't understand, Dave. Huh? It almost seems like you're a fucking hypocrite, Dave. Huh? What happened? Oh, and remember when he actually said that about Peyton Royce, and Peyton Royce's response was this? So, what would you have me do, Dave? Starve myself? This is how nightmares for young women start. The females in your life must be proud. Oh, It almost seems like once again, Dave Meltzer, your hypocrisy is starting to show, because you went out of your way and, you did apologize. Can we read Dave Meltzer's apology? May we read Dave Meltzer's apology where he was squirming like a fucking worm? Again, to everyone, I do want to apologize, and I'm glad Peyton Royce sent her tweet, because there was a valuable point there that we can all learn from. No, where you can learn from, Dave, but sure. Group everybody into your fucking controversy, therefore you don't get the brunt of the actual attack. But nevertheless, though, I'm sorry, am I deaf right now? Huh? Because I'm not hearing you have that same kind of empathy that you were hoping to get by trying to manipulate people, by bringing them into your situation, by suggesting we can all learn from this. No, Dave, once again, no, brother, you said that. You said that. I don't even necessarily disagree with you. But if this is the high horse you want to sit on, let me lasso your ass off real quick and bring you back down to the ground, and we can have this little chit chat real quick, brother. So let me see if I understand this. Gail Kim tells you, hey, I talk to people so I can have a better understanding of this non-fucking controversy that you guys are making controversial because you don't like when people go after your favorites. And you still try to drive home a point that, do you want to walk this back? As if the same situation didn't happen to you with Peyton Royce when you apologized. But apparently, even with your apologizing, even with you trying to say, hey guys, it's a misunderstanding. I wasn't talking about her weight. I was talking about her tiggle bitties. You want the same actions that Gail Kim is trying to get from you. You wanted those same responses at the time that Gail Kim is giving to you. But this is the guy that's sitting on his perch right now. This is the guy who is trying to signal boost the fucking mob to go after Gail Kim. This is the guy who says, Riho is going through so much bullying. Gail Kim, stop giving your negative opinions about something that is really, really innocuous. Can you please stop going after her? You're bullying her by saying that she's small. You, guy, telling your allegiance of fans by posting that tweet to essentially, hey guys, Gail Kim just made this comment, hence why I'm telling you all, because I'm posting this right now, to send them to go further bully her. But this is the guy sitting on his perch right now. This is Dave Meltzer. Here's a thought, Dave. Shut the fuck up. Here's a thought, Dave. You have skeletons in your closet. Here's a thought, Dave. How about when people give their opinions about your favorites and you guys disagree, you agree to disagree? How about you don't try to be disingenuous and rope in other allegations in regards to what people did that were heinous to people like Riho and try to put Gail Kim in that same spot because she said she was too small and because she wasn't believable. Because apparently saying that is bullying. Saying that is bullying. That's about as much bullying as what you do when you give wrestlers 1 stars because you don't think they can go in the ring. They don't meet your expectations, and therefore you get to say these kind of things. Yet, apparently, this being said about Riho, apparently that on the opposite side of the coin. But you leave it up to these fans, they'll say things like, "Well, Riho, she can't help that she's small. These wrestlers, they can't help that they're shitty wrestlers." I'm sorry. Is there some type of, I don't know, maybe I'm tripping here, because apparently bullying is subjective now. I thought attacking people for something that they're trying their best at, regardless, that would be considering bullying, right? No, am I wrong here, Dave? You are what you hate, you piece of shit. Once again, Dave, being Dave. He can't help it. Only Dave can be Dave. The best Dave in the world is Meltzer. God almighty, help us all if we all can't be like Dave fucking Meltzer. Oh my God, what a douchebag. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I just seen him going after Gail. I had to chirp in. I mean, honestly, if you want my whole consensus on this, I wish Gail would stop tweeting about this. It's already old and it's only been going on for 2 days now. But just seeing Dave Meltzer talk about this, it was just so infuriating to me knowing his fucking history. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, my name is Devontae, aka Millennial Smart, and you had to know I had to bring the receipts. I had to. Can't let people just run their mouths like this, knowing their history and just saying to myself, oh, well, I'm just gonna shut my mouth. I don't have a platform. Let me not say anything about this. Can't do that. Won't do that. Don't like it. I don't know. Sucks to be you, right? Deuces. P. Ice.